Welcome everybody to the Family First Life Sky's the Limit call. My name is Brandon Kitchings. I'm the Senior Vice President, Family First Life Marathon, and I have the pleasure today to interview our very own board member / integrity partner, Mr. Stephen Yee, today, and I hope you guys got your popcorn ready because it's going to be a good one. I know this guy like the back of my hand. I know what he's going to do and what he's going to bring to the table for us today. So first, just wanted to, Stephen, just thank you for, first of all, for the platform that we have here. Second of all, for just being the leader that you are and constantly pouring into us to help us get better as well, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me, Brandon. This is going to be fun. We haven't done this in a long time.
It's been a while, right?
Yeah.
So it's like old times, right? So hey, let's get right to it, man. We got a lot of new agents, coming in the agency, not only our agency, but within FFL as well, that can stand to learn a lot from us today. So first thing that I wanted to get into with you, Stephen, if we could talk a little bit about the leadership retreat that we have coming up here in October for the Coast to Coast agency here, and the significance of that event in your eyes.
My whole thing was a lot of people work in islands, right? Like I worked on an island when I was in Southern California. Like, the closest office to me was 2 hours away, one way, right? And so many times, many of us work by ourselves in our home office or whatever it may be. The best thing that for me was when I got around other agents, I was able to pick up and learn from them really quickly, right? So when we did like the Christmas events, when we did like the Rising Stars events, when we had like team events, I was always excited to go because I was able to pick up and learn something. This upcoming one's going to be different. And the reason why I say that is because number one, you have to qualify to get there. So you're either going to be a qualified senior, qualified vice president or a 30K producer in the month of September, which started last Friday, right? And the beauty of it is that conversation that we're going to have with one another at those events, because it's a very high intent, high specific driven training. Like it's not something that we can hold a Zoom meeting or have at a regular meeting where we can share with everybody. It's very high level information, right? So we're going to be able to disperse that information. Not only that, we're going to be able to go out and have fun. Like I'm a big proponent of working hard, but I'm a big proponent of playing hard too. You know what I mean? So like sometimes like we have been grinding and working our tails off for such a long time. Sometimes it's nice to be able to enjoy that with other people as well. So, I'm excited to be able to see the top, 70, 80, 100 people, whoever qualifies to go. But for me, I'm always big on like, dude, when I got it started in FFL, like I went VP, not because I wanted to go VP. I went VP because I wanted to be in the VP chat.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, this is like one of those events for me. I'm like, dude, I'm going to go qualify just to make sure I can get there because I don't want to miss out. I'd rather go and then not be there or go and go, it was cool, rather than like be on the outside being like, I wonder what happened at the event. You know what I mean? So for me personally, getting as many agents on our team to be able to go, man, it would be nice because, the other part is like we have so many people throughout the country that haven't got a chance to really meet. Like we were just talking, like Sandra Keogh's a beast. She's a monster at selling insurance. I've had a chance to sit down with Sandra and actually talk to her, get to know her. You know what I mean? And so like those are the events that allow us to be able to come together and do those wonderful things. So I'm excited, Brandon. I really am. So, qualifications is VP, 30K producer, one to the other in September. The event's going to be in October in Phoenix. The whole thing's paid for. It's like $85,000, right? Coming out of like Trey, Joe, myself. The only thing we ask you guys to do is pay for your flight and your hotel stay, and we're good. You know what I mean? So like, matter of fact, we were just booking Topgolf right now. Dinner alone at Topgolf is like 12 grand because of the food that we're getting, the selection and the hitting bays and all that stuff. So we're like, it's going to be fun, man. We're excited. So,
man, I'm what I'm mostly excited for is the excitement. It's the momentum, that that's created at an event like that, and how that pushes the business, coming out of something like that. Because I've had the opportunity to attend these type of things in the past, and I just remember the momentum coming out of there, right? Everybody's, really jacked up and ready to go protect more families, ready to go, share the business with other agents, so that we can, help them protect more families and protect their family as well. So that's the biggest piece for me, man. The momentum coming out of something like this.
Yeah, dude. The other thing is like, it's perfect timing because I don't know for you, for me personally, I've been selling insurance for the last 4 or 5 years, right? My best months, always October, November, December. And it's like
Right.
most people, most industries, most other agents that are not here, their best months are like usually in the beginning of the year, maybe in the middle. I have my best months in the end because everybody goes, oh, that's vacation time, that's holiday time. Like, you don't sell very much insurance. It's a down quarter for us. I'm like, not for me. Matter of fact, my best months always came in October, November, December. You know what I mean? So like, this event's going to be able to propel us into that, to be able to close out the year strong. And yeah, man, I'm excited. I really am.
I mean, you remember my year last year, right? Hall of Fame run.
Mhm.
And 40% of my production was done in October, November, and December, right? That was 40% of my production.
Yeah.
Okay, done there. So I'm on board. I've seen the light. And I remember when you were qualifying. Running hard to qualify for Hall of Fame the year before. You did like 70, 80. It helped like 70 80 families.
December, just in December alone.
Right?
We did 50, 40, 70. What is that? 160. We did almost half the volume in 3 months.
Almost like mine, about 40% of it came in the last 3 months, right? So perfect timing, get agents moving, get them motivated, and we can go out here and finish the year on a strong note. Man, appreciate you sharing that. Now, getting down to kind of the nuts and bolts, man, and what, the question that I wanted to ask you today, and the biggest thing for me is, most people, they know Stephen Yee, the integrity partner, the board member. Okay, especially a lot of the newer agents that's coming on the team now. They don't know Stephen Yee 3.5, 4 years ago.
I don't know if they want to.
Right. The Stephen Yee that I met, that I started growing my business with. And I appreciate you for everything that you did. And I believe that you're a perfect example, of it's not where you start, but where you end up.
Right.
Okay. And so, with that being said, can you share with us, your start? Because I know the story, but your start, when you started, you had a wedding, coming up, didn't have the funds to pay for it, but you had the fire, and you were driven, to take care of that with your new business that you were starting here. Can you share that with us and let us, about your start and how this thing started for you?
Yeah, I mean, I always. This sounds stupid, but it's not. Like, money's just money. Money's just a fictitious number in a website, on an application with Bank America, Chase, Wells, whoever you bank with, right? Like, it's not. I'm not physically holding it or playing with it. I didn't care about the money. I cared about what the money could do for me, right? And so when I got started here at Family First Life, I had none. You know what I mean? But what I knew was, I want to be able to help people, most importantly, because that's what I did. I was coaching high school basketball for such a long time. I enjoy watching people be able to grow. You know what I mean? Like knowing where you started, Brandon, to where you are now. I'm like, I didn't do any of that because you did the work. But I'm like, damn, can you imagine if Brandon didn't come here? He'd be still working at Wells. I look at Will Lore. You know what I mean? Like, prior to where he is now, freaking stud. Where he was prior, I'm like, man, like, I didn't do any of that, but I'm just glad to be able to have like a little piece of the guidance. Right. And so for me, I was the same. When I got started here, man, you can call me a loser. I was 27, living home with my mom. Right. Met my wife, my fiance at the time was trying to get ready to get married. And we had a $45,000 wedding to pay for. And I was 45 grand, short of 45 grand. So I was like, what I did know was I just needed to go to work. Right. And one of the things I can tell you, and I can share with you along the way, was like, so many things messed me up on that way. When I got started, my last 2 weeks of the month, in March. I had 20 appointments, ran 12, booked 20, sat 12, closed 4, right? I was just horrible. And, I called Joe Miller and I was like, hey, before you can fire me, I'm going to quit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to save my own face. And he was like, dude, before you do that, man, go see what they paid you. And they paid me $5,200 for those 4 sales. And I was just like, it's the most money I've ever made at the time. And I was like, wow, like if they pay me this much to suck, like, can you imagine when I actually get good? Right. And what was crazy was like, there's so many times where Brandon, where I'd go on a weekend run trip and I'd be like, bam, record week for Stephen Yee, protected 7 families this weekend. And then I'd go see someone else like Brittany Smart or Millie Persina go protected 22. And I'm just like, dude, I suck. I suck so bad. You know what I mean? And what I quickly realized on my journey was like, although I was doing the best I've ever done, I was letting other people steal my own joy from me because I was comparing myself to them.
Right.
And if I can give any of you guys that are brand new any type of feedback, don't do that. Because like you can't compare yourself to Brandon Kitchings or Sandra Keogh or David Chen. Like they go bang out 10, 15, 20 policies in a weekend. Some people don't do that in a month.
Right.
And the reason why they do that in a weekend is because they've been here for a long time and they put the grind in, the work in to allow themselves to do that. So you can't compare your day 1 with their day year 3. It's just not fair to yourself. You know what I mean? And so like my whole thing is just being able to have perspective is like where you are right now, are you in a better spot than before you started with us? And if the answer is yes, then cool, let's continue. And if the answer is no, shoot, maybe this ain't for you. And it's okay. You know, like the other thing that Brandon, like that I got burned, hurt, whatever you want to call it, was I wanted success more than some people that I recruited when I got started. There's a handful of people that I personally knew that I was like, man, like if I know what I can, I could protect 30, 40, 50 families in a month. I can help him not do half. And then what I realized was like, I was trying to help them do what I wanted them to do, but they didn't even want to do it.
Correct.
And it was like the frustration of me banging my head against the wall. Like, no, you can, like you live in such a bad life right now. I can help you get out of that, but they didn't want to get out of that. You know what I mean? And so like, because of that, man, I lost so many friends in the business because of that, because I wanted it more for them than they wanted it themselves. And there's some, what I'm trying to give you guys on the call is there's going to be some landmines. I'm like, just please don't step on them, because I already stepped on them. Brandon stepped on them. Everybody has. But it's like, if I can shorten your learning curve by saying, hey, don't do these very things, those are some of them.
Okay. No, I mean, thank you for sharing that, because I mean, it's powerful, first time I heard that story, it definitely, helped me, wake up, wake up and do a little bit better for myself and focus on what I needed to focus on as well. So what I would like to do is kind of just go one step before that at this time as well, because I know, when you started, you started dialing for Joe first.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so how did that help you in your business, when you started dialing for someone else, first in the beginning?
What's funny, man? Like I'm completely backwards in the rest of the entire company. So like most people that we recruit, Brandon, they go, man, I can sell anybody. I can sell ice and Eskimo. Put me in front of them. It's done deal. Right. I was like, yo, I hate seeing people. I'm like an introvert. I'm like, matter of fact, I don't want to go to your house. Can I just book the appointment and let Joe go? You know what I mean? I was like the complete backwards agent. And so I got really good on the phone, man. Like this is what people don't know, is I set up a plan with Joe where I said, hey, if I book your appointments, would you split me in 20% of the deal? Because Joe was that guy. Joe was the guy that goes, I can go to the home, but I don't want to be on the phone. Right. I was the exact opposite. It was like a perfect marriage. And so he goes, yeah, dude, I'll split you 20% in. Dude, that year I made 50 grand. Yeah. And I just set into one home. And here's what's crazy. Right, Brandon?
Right.
So most people, like I would book Joe's entire schedule. I would book his entire 24 to 30 appointments in 3.5 hours.
Talk about that.
Now, don't tell him that, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't tell him that. But that's what I did. And people go like, how'd you do that? Well, dude, I got really good at overcoming objections. Mm-hmm. And so like when I call you and you answer the phone, there's only 3 things you can possibly say to me. It's,
Okay.
I didn't fill it out. I'm not interested. I already got it taken care of. Besides that, what can you possibly say on the phone?
Right.
And so if I had 2 to 3 rebuttals for every single one of those things, right, I can put Joe in a position to be able to get in the home. And so that's all I did. So like when I dialed. I like it's funny to me, like brand new people all the time. I go, hey, send me your dial tracker. And they're like, what's a dial tracker? And I'm like, oh man, you in trouble. Because they go, I dialed for 5 hours today, Brandon. I only booked 2 appointments. And I'm like, that's not possible. That's not possible.
Right.
It just means you're not working. What do you, well, I dialed. No. Show me your dial tracker. Because in those 5 hours, I myself would have made like 200 calls.
Right.
Oh, got it. You dialed for 5 hours, but you only made 32 calls because you make a call and you take 5 minutes off. Right. And then you make a call, client cuss you out. You got to take a 10-minute water break. Right. You make a call, they don't answer. So you take another minute or 2 to, find something else to do and then dial again. While for me, when I was brand new, man, it was like on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. Matter of fact, my goal was to be able to cross out 285 no's. Because if I made 300 calls, I was going to book 15 appointments without a doubt. Right. My goal was to be able to like cross 285 no's. So what I played a game, I actually sought out the no's. And what happened was when people answered the phone, I was like, dang it. They answered the phone. Now I got to talk to them. You know what I mean? Because I was like, if I get to 285 people that didn't answer the phone, I'm game. And so like what happened was I just got really good at playing a mental game with myself. Like most people get caught up in dialing, like they look at the leads like it's money, which it can be, but like I didn't do that. I looked at the leads as like people that needed help, and I was going to play a game. Which 15 people needed help first? Let me go find out. Right. And then you're going to have some people that were very simple to book. You're going to have some people that were a lot more difficult to book. Matter of fact, I actually enjoyed those because if it was tough for me to get in and I got in, that means nobody else is getting in. The one that was too easy for me to book, dude, you might go, oh my gosh, I got into that appointment. Yeah, so did the other 15 agents that called.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy that. I wanted the challenge. Like I wanted to be able to have 1 to 2 to 3 good objections on the phone and be like, nobody else is going to work as hard as I was to be able to get in that home. You know what I mean? And so like when we got, what happened was I got so good at dialing. Matter of fact, we tracked it. 77, the numbers were both times, 77. 77% of the people that I booked for Joe showed up. It's pretty nice, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Especially if you're running the appointments. And then the other thing was 77% of the people he sat with bought. So at that point, I was able to calculate. I'm like, all right, if I dialed the phone this hard, I would get this result, which would give him this. All right, I can just go to work. You know what I mean? And so when I was dialing, I had the TV on. I was literally just pounding the phone. I was whatever I can to distract myself from the quote unquote dialing. I was watching TV, crossing out to people, and literally just kept moving, man. And so like what that did for my business was, this is where like some of us, I call it the adversity paradox.
Okay.
I actually learned this from Will Smith. And what that basically means is like sometimes we go through the grind. You and I get killed on the phone. And then what we do is we go, there has to be a better way. And then what we do is we find a better way called dialers, right? And then like we tell our new agents about them. And then so like they don't get the same learning curve that we get because the very thing that made us very good, we took it away from them. Correct. That's why they always say it takes a generation to make $1 million and it takes another generation to lose them. Because that very, like that first, like I lived in an apartment till I was like 15, bro. You know what I mean? My daughter she don't even know what an apartment is. Good for her. Right. But here's what I can tell you. By the time she actually needs to go out in the real world and actually try to make things, the burning sensation for her is not the same because daddy says yes to everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, as parents, our job is to be able to give our kids a better life, but at the same time, it also hurts our kids because the very thing that gave us that good life, that gave them that good life, we strip from them. You know what I mean? We do the same thing with our agents, Brandon. That very skill that I developed to be able to go write 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 grand a month was dialing the phone.
Right.
And because I was able to get my teeth kicked in and know everything that someone could say, and we try to make it easier for people. Oh, you don't like dialing? Work live transfers.
Right.
Oh, you don't like dialing? Here's some pre-booked appointments. Instead of going, no, I went through that crap. You got to go through it too. Matter of fact, it make you a better agent.
Yep.
And so like that's that's the thing I'm getting back to, Brandon, is just being able to let people know, like back then, bro. You want to know how we underwrite? We would call the carrier, call Americo, call Mutual of Omaha, and be like, hey, I have a 42-year-old that takes this. Would you take them? I don't know. Put it in. By the way, that meant by paper app. Send it in. We ain't got no damn paper apps no more. We got e-apps that will let you know within seconds. Correct. Oh, by the way, you want to find out if Americo or someone will take them? Yeah, we got underwriting genies, underwriting cheat sheets. You got an upline to ask for. I never had any of that. Correct. Once again, we made it so much easier for people that it was like the very thing that made us very good agents, we stripped away from those people.
Yeah, I mean, and I say it all the time. I tell agents, the results you see here at Family First Life, those results are earned. They're not given, right? And so the agents that earn these results, they've gone through the fire. They've literally gone through the fire here to get to where they're at in their business to get those results. And a lot of agents try to dance around the fire, right? Instead of going through the fire. But it's us going through the fire that has made us crispy and charred and gave us the edge that we have to be able to do what we do. And if you want that for yourself, then you must go through the fire also, right? So that just makes so much sense, man. So we've learned, how you got started, what you did in the beginning. Now let's move on to building the agency. Okay. So you were producing at a high level, 40, 30, 40, 50 families a month on your own pen. And then you decided to build the agency. Right. And so you started looking for like-minded partners to partner with and go build this thing, like you've currently done. So can you talk a little bit about, what that looked like, in the beginning of building this agency, what things, were very important, to you getting off to the start that you got off to and being able to hold it, all the way through to where it's at now?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to build an agency for a long time, but the thing that was the first year I didn't recruit very well, actually, was because I was so jaded, man. Like I came from another company, like a previous MLM deal where we recruited everybody, but no one made any money. And I was like, I didn't want this to be one of those things as well. Right. And so the crazy part about what we have now is, back then, Brandon, y'all talk about lead strategy, man, think about this. I got started. My contracting took 3 weeks. You know why? Because we used to have to print off Americo's contracting paperwork is 25 pages. So every carrier had their own. So it's 100 pages. You had to handwrite the contract, fax it back in. Well, Brandon, when I write a 3-year-old and they can't read my handwriting, guess what? It stops the whole thing. It just does. They go, hey, we need you to send another one in, right? Back then, we had no internet leads, no Facebook leads, no social media leads. So back then, we only had direct mail. Well, This is how it worked. I sat down with Andrew for a lead strategy call, and he was like, hey, I need you to send $1,500 to this lady in Texas. And I'm like, bro, I ain't got $1,500, and who is she? You know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? Let me just call her and see what we can do. I told her, hey, Cheryl, I only got $600. What can I get for $600? She's like, I can, do this and this for you, but it's going to take about 3.5 weeks for the leads to come. We had no other choice. It's not like you can go to the CRM and get leads today. We didn't have age leads back then either. Right. So I literally waited. You talk about being able to get in a system now where you can go fast immediately. I didn't have that. Right. And so, going back to that is the early time, and this is why I'm doing this now. So because I didn't have leads to run immediately, what I did was I drove to Andrew's office, which is 2 hours away from me. And when we got in Andrew's office, this is what he did, man. He goes, hey, you got your phone script ready? I'm like, no. He's like, all right, well, here's the phone script. You got an hour. Study it. There's probably 6, 7 other agents in there, right? We're listening, dude, to Paul McLean and Andrew Dowell in the other office. We're in the bullpen and they're in their office. You can hear them, right? Andrew comes out. He goes, all right, Brandon, you're the client. Steve, you're the agent. Steve, go call him. Brandon, throw whatever objection you want at him. And we were in the field sales training.
Right.
Instead of, hey, go watch a YouTube video. Let me know how it goes.
Right.
right? And then like Andrew was teaching us how to underwrite. He was like, look, we don't even got them anymore. He goes, this is an agent guide, right? America's products had an agent guide. If they have this type of medical condition, flip to this page. It's a 50-page packet we used to carry in our duffel bags. Flip to this page. So if they have high blood pressure, these are the questions that America is going to ask. There's an additional questionnaire that's going to be attached. Yeah, y'all have no idea what I'm talking about. That's how blessed y'all are. Back then, if someone had high blood pressure, cholesterol, or diabetes, the simple stuff, you would have to submit another app with that app. Now you click yes, they just drop down the answers, right? And so like so many times you will learn, because I would do the entire app and not submit the questionnaire. And they go, nope, now you got to redo the entire app again, right? So like we went through that learning. You know what I mean? And so like, because of that, I was like, look, this sucks. I'm not gonna lie, the pre-licensing, licensing, contracting process sucks. So I said, who can go through this process with me? So I put 2 people on that list. One of those guys is still here. The other guy isn't no more. But what happened was, once I started seeing a little bit of results, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go full force at building an agency, right? Because I knew I didn't want to sell insurance for the rest of my life. I wanted to build something big where I could impact people and teach people how to do the same. And so like when I started doing that, you can ask Joe and Trey. I text them every day, man, this sucks. Can't get no traction. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't know what I'm even doing. Like nobody wants to really do this with me. And they're like, once you find one guy to lock your arms with, is a wrap.
Yep.
And dude, like, I want to say it took about 3 months, but the first person we found, we locked arms with, and then it was like everything after that was like an avalanche. You know what I mean? It's like pushing a rock uphill, and it sucks, right? But then what happens is you start getting some traction, some momentum. You get to the top of the hill, and then when that rock just comes down, it don't even need you. Couldn't even stop it, right? And that's what it felt like. And it probably took me about a year to get to that place. But when I got there, you know, one of the things that was always etched in my mind was like, there's so many companies out there that they recruit everybody. Like, I don't sell no insurance, but I recruit you who also don't sell no insurance. And we recruit 50 people and none of us sell insurance. Guess what? No one's making any money. And so like, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to recruit high quality people that I believed that they could do this. And then the other thing was like, they would sell insurance with me. So like you go, you know, we were just talking about it before the call. Like when our team was doing about 300,000-400,000 in volume a month, I was writing 50, 60. You were writing about 40. Will was writing about 40. Bruce had just gotten started. He wrote like 30. Colton was like writing 25, 30. Cackers was writing 20. Like that was what our team makeup looked like. Like we had hitters. We had like a small group of 4 to 5 of us that banged out all this premium, not like 100 people doing $2,000.
Correct.
You know, and so like that's what I was trying to attract, and that's what I was trying to build, and that's what I'm trying to get back to right now.
Okay. I mean, and you just did a great job of leading from the front. You know, Sean always talks about, you know, the significance of leading from the front, and that's what you did. So it made it very easy for us to follow you, because it was like he's going through the same thing that we are, right? You know, when I was in the field having my tough days, I call you and you could relate,
right?
You could relate to it, you know, because you were going through the same things that I was going through, not you sitting up high on a pedestal saying, hey, do this, do that, and you're not doing it. You know, you were doing it at the same time. So it made it very easy for me to take whatever coaching from you and go apply it, because I knew that you were only telling me things that you were doing that worked for you, for me to do it as well, right? You know, so
you can't teach what you don't know.
Correct.
So like, it's not a secret that I went Hall of Fame in 2020 and the rest of the group went Hall of Fame in 2021.
Correct.
Because y'all watched me do it the first year and go, oh, he actually did it. Cool. Yeah. Here's the blueprint. Go do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's why when you go, hey man, you were like, hey, I was in a deficit. Matter of fact, you were behind Hall of Fame schedule. How'd you get it? How'd you catch back up? Well, guess who was also behind Hall of Fame schedule? So when you call me and go, hey, man, I'm this far behind, how do I catch up? This is how you do it. Why? Because it happened to me too.
Just did it.
But if you're not that person, you can't teach. I don't know. I think it's I don't know. Run more appointments, buy more leads. No, dude. There's actually a strategy behind that.
Correct.
And so that was my whole big thing, was like, I never wanted to be a hypocrite. I was never going to ask someone on my team to do something I never done. Never. And so like, I can't tell you to go recruit if I didn't go recruit. I couldn't tell you to go get staff and get an office if I didn't have my own. I couldn't tell you to write 30, 40, 50 grand a month if I couldn't. And it irks me when people do. So that's why I was like you said, leading by example. Like, that was the only leading I knew. Was like, you know what I mean? It's like me going, hey, you should go to the gym and lift, but I'm the number one guy on the team and I'm not going to go do so. Why? You know what I mean? Like, how weird would that be? So yeah, if there's anything that I can tell y'all, man, like, so I coached basketball for a long time. And if I can tell you anything, when kids would warm up before the games, we'd always go, hey, go game speed. During warm-ups, we would always be like, hey, Brandon, go game speed. You want to know why we tell people to go game speed, Brandon? Because if you went half speed, you know what happens? More chance of injury.
Correct.
So like in this business is the same thing. Go full speed. Go as fast as you possibly can. Because if you don't, there's going to be more mistakes, more injuries.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, people always go, man, I'm kind of nervous on the phone. I'm trying to get all my scripts ready and all my objections on the table and da-da-da-da. I'm like, dude, the only way you learn how to swim is by jumping in.
That's it.
If I gave you a book on how to swim, you're not going to be able to learn how to swim by reading a book.
Nope.
You learn by doing the thing.
Correct.
Right. And so like, that's the same thing here. Like, for those of you that are here that are brand new with us, like, please, I want y'all to understand, like, go fast as you can and mess it all up. Because you going fast and messing it all up is going to be way better than the guy that's doing it perfectly as slow as he can. Ain't no other way to say it. Correct.
Man. So, all right. So now we got the agency part, out the way. Now, if you could share with us now, how did having an agency, and if it's too much, I understand, but I believe it's things that people need to hear because it's real life. How did having your agency help you and your family, especially last year, while you were going through things that you and your family went through last year? How did having your agency help you, go through everything you went through last year?
Well, I'll say this, like, if you're not ready to be mediocre, don't build a team. Because the moment you build a team, you have to lead. So you give up the ability to be average. Like, you got to be great. Does that make sense? Like, Brandon, who's the number one producer in your group? You. Yeah. You can't, and it can't be any other way. Right. And so, like, I say that because, like, building an agency made me wake up in the morning earlier. It made me actually keep myself accountable because people were watching. Yep. And what I mean by that was, like, I can't tell you to go book 30 appointments if I wasn't. That's why back then, all of us used to post our schedules in the SkyPoint group. Yeah. Hey, I got 18 locked in for the weekend. What about you? Oh, I got 22. Dang, I got 4 more. Got to catch up the Brandon. You know what I mean? But like, we used to do that, right? Because it was like, if I'm the agency manager, I needed to be able to lead. Right. You do that long enough, what happens is you find people that are better than you. And the goal is to make sure that everybody's better than you. Mm-hmm. Because here's what Sean Mike's always told me. He said, you're one financial or health decision away from being in a really, really bad spot in your life. And so my mom was diagnosed with cancer last May. I was actually at a FFL event talking about how, hey, my mom's been sick, but we didn't know it was cancer at the time. She's been sick, and this business allowed me to be able to take care of her bills, right? And then when we found out that she was getting really ill, literally 2 days later, I was already back in Vegas. I was able to buy a one-way ticket to Burbank. I booked a hotel stay, and I was like, they're like, how long do you need us? I was like, until I say no more. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, and was able to literally be bedside with my mom the entire way.
Yeah.
Here's what I can tell you. Can you imagine if I didn't take care of my business? Hey, mom, I know you're going through radiation and all that stuff, but I got to go run appointments.
Right.
Hey, mom, I know you got to go through this surgery, this kyphoplasty on your back, but my boss didn't let me get time off, so I can't be there. Like, can you imagine that? And so, like, I was very blessed because I built it to be able to have that emergency happen and be present with my mom. You know, like I'll tell another story. Like, when you can make decisions that's best for your family without thinking about the pocketbook, man, there's a peace in that.
Yeah.
And my mom, when she was in hospice, I think it was probably like 3 days before she had passed. We had 24-hour care. Well, 3 nurses, 8 hours a shift. Well, they had an 8-hour nurse from 8 in the morning until 5, and then 8 till 4, and then 4 till midnight.
Mm-hmm.
The person at midnight called off. Right.
Right. I remember.
Brandon, I'm not a nurse. I'm not going to try to pretend that I am. So the hospice facility was like, hey, we don't got a nurse to come out. And I'm like, what do you mean you ain't got a nurse to come out? Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I mean, I don't have a problem staying, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how to change the bags and administer the medication. I pay you to do this. Right. And they're like, well, the only way you got is, you got to go private home health. You got to hire a private nurse. And I'm like, cool, go get one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, we didn't even tell you how much it costs. I'm like, did I say that I care?
Correct.
Because it's for my mom and she's dying and I need it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, to be able to make decisions like that, man, is, yeah.
I mean, that's deep, man. And I remember, you going through that and just, we were constantly praying for you, but, to see you be able to go through it the way that you did, it definitely took me and Teresa, made us want to even go to another level, because it made us look at our situation. What if something happens to me or something happens to her? What does that look like for our kids? Right. So it made us step on the gas even more, because we actually saw what you were going through and saw how it allowed you to be there for your mom and your family throughout the entire year, and be able to make decisions like that we yearn for that same thing. Right. To be in that position, if something like that was to happen to us, and just seeing you go through it hit right here, and so it definitely made us step on the gas as well. So, thank you for sharing that, not only, with us, but, everyone else as well. And last thing that I have for you, you got your integrity deal about a little over 2 months ago. And congratulations on that. Because like I said, I actually literally saw you go from 0 to 100 right before my eyes, and paint the picture and set it up for us so that we can follow that trail that you blazed. But talk about, why was getting that, your integrity deal, so important to you and your family?
I don't know if it was important for our family, Brandon. And what I mean by that is, don't get me wrong, like, I will never give the money back, and I'm happy to be a part of the club. But it was just like, it was like another step on the ladder.
Yeah.
Like Brandon, like, you play sports,
yeah.
Right? Like, you play, like when you beat a team you're supposed to beat, you don't celebrate like you just won the championship, because you expected to beat them.
Correct.
People ask me all the time, like, when you got your integrity deal, were you excited? And I was like, I mean, sure, I guess, but I expected to get it because I worked my tail off for the last 4 years to get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy that I'm there. And I hope that makes sense. I'm not saying that in an arrogant way, because I gave up a lot. I gave up time with my friends and family. I left people behind. I actually moved out of another state to get to, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
So when I got that, I was like, that's expected. Like, that's because of all the work that I've put in. What I can tell you is everybody has their own reasons. And for some people, yeah, I mean, hopefully it'd be just get an integrity deal. Some people might just want to be financially free, whatever it may be.
Right.
What I can tell you is you got to make sacrifices to get there. I was just, I was with my wife, because our anniversary was last week, and you know, we had a, you know, like Facebook is really good at reminding you about stuff you don't want to be reminded about.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had we had our wedding, we had our pictures at our wedding that came up. It was like, here's your, you know, memory 4 years ago. And it was like a 3-year memory. And I was like, dang, how bad was that? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, babe, you remember when we went to that place? You remember how I ordered my food? And she was like, how? I was like, I looked at the menu on the right side because that's where the prices were. And then looked to the left to see if I wanted to eat it. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't too long ago. And now we're able to be like, hey, well, yeah, the whole family's out with us. Hey, give us the bill. Don't give it to any of them. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
Hey, you want us to? No, I'm not going to ask you to split me on the bill because I took you out to dinner. You know what I mean? Like, right. to see how quick that it's changed. And I say that because like integrity allowed our family to have stability. And what I mean by that is like, if something were to happen to me, I hope not, right? Cross my fingers and pray to God. If something were to happen to me, my kids are taken care of. My wife's taken care of.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Like we can make decisions by not thinking about, you know, what we have in the account. We know that, here's the other thing that like Sean said this the other day on the call. He had called me and I was like, Sean, like what people don't, it's fascinating the amount of people that are like, hey, you got your integrity deal, you're flying even more. And I'm like, Sean's like, isn't that weird? And I'm like, it is, because like I wanted to fly even more. Matter of fact, I flew to your office, Colton's office. Like I wanted to see everybody because I wanted to be able to spend time, teach, and show you guys how to do the same.
Correct.
Right. And that's what I wanted, you know, for me, the integrity deal was just like, okay, cool. Another rung on the ladder. Now I got to be able to help people get here so I can boom, level up. And that's all that was, Brandon. And so the integrity deal for me, yeah, sure. That was a big deal. But for some people, it's not. Some people, hey, they make, you know, in a passive 20, 30, 50 grand a month, their lives are changed, which is awesome. And I'm like, whatever you want, let me help you go get that.
Man.
You know,
that's deep, man. And it just all makes sense. So real quick, if anyone has any questions for Stephen, you can definitely put your questions in the Q&A and we'll answer questions here in just a moment. But while we're waiting to see if any questions come in, Stephen, so share some information or tips that you would provide at this time to, you know, new agents that are just coming on the team, maybe in contracting, currently waiting to get started, maybe already, you know, contracted and writing business, but stumbling out of the gates a little bit at this time. What tips, you know, would you offer to agents like that, you know, that have aspirations of getting to where you're at now?
Here's what I can tell people is like, there's no glory in struggling by yourself. Matter of fact, like Brandon, you should tell them when you were brand new, how often we were on the phone until what time? You know what I mean? Like we used to make a joke about it because Teresa would joke about it, but I mean, tell them.
Oh yeah. I mean, you and I, we would be on the phone at least the first 6 months or so. I was on the phone with you almost every night to 11, 12 o'clock at night, sometimes even later. And Teresa would just get used to going to sleep with me talking to you. She would be like, you talking to your boyfriend? And I'd be like, yep, I'm talking to my boyfriend so I can help us get some money, you know, right? You know, so, but that was because you were in California, I was in Arizona. So I was by myself, you know, but I wasn't by myself because I did have you always to lean on, you know, so I was making sure that I was always in constant communication with you. You know, what I do now? What do I do now? You know, what's this? What's that? Because I just left a 12.5-year career to do this. And I got 6 kids and a wife, right? That's looking at me like, I hope he made the right decision. So I had to prove them right that I did. And I wasn't gonna let anything stand in my way of making it happen. And you had the key to the doors that I was trying to enter.
But see, that's the thing is like, that's what I mean by like, when you decide to build an agency, you give up the right to be average for that very reason, because it's not normal for most people to be on the phone at 11, 12 o'clock at night. Correct. But guess what? You're an agent in our team. You didn't know some answers that I knew. Why am I going to hold them back from you?
Correct.
And so like I see a lot of people in this business think they know. That's the problem, Brandon, is they think they know what they're doing. Like, by the way, for those of you that are on this call, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm trying to offend the person right next to you. I'm just kidding. I'm not. But like, this is what I mean though. Like you don't think Brandon and I have tried to create our own leads? Come on now. Like you, Brandon, right? Like, hey, I think there's a better way to do this. Bro, we got the money.
Yeah.
You don't think we've tested it and tried it on our own? The reason why we don't teach it is because it doesn't work. But everybody wants to go recreate the wheel.
Correct.
Matter of fact, I just got on the call on Saturday morning with a top guy from another company, but he was on Joe's team. And he was like, hey, man, like, I wanted to know what leads you ran and which ones are good. I'm like, they all suck. I just got really good at booking shit, crappy leads.
Yeah.
He was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I just wanted an appointment where they knew I was coming over for life insurance. So it was fair game. I can tell you the pros and cons of every lead. They all suck to some degree. There's good things about them. There's bad things about them. But I wasn't trying to recreate the system because I already tried. So like, let me save you 6 months of heartache. Matter of fact, let me save you 20 grand of blown ad spend on Facebook.
20 grand. Yes.
Right. But like, that's what I mean is like, trust and believe. You're not the first one to think this. We've already tried. And if it worked, we would let everybody do it and teach them how to do it. There's no reason why I would hold information back from you. Right. And that's what I mean, Brandon, is like a lot of people think this business. They think they know their route instead of going, hey, Brandon's a Hall of Fame producer. I'm not. Let me go call him.
Right.
People go, hey, I think this is how you do virtual. No. Go call Sandra Kehoe because she's been smashing it.
Yeah.
Like, that's my problem. Like the reason why I was able to accelerate and do this very quickly was because I had no ego in this. So when I didn't know, I would just ask. Matter of fact, I was grateful. I'd be like, hey, Brandon, you don't know me. My name is Steven. I work with, Joe, Trey, and Andrew Taylor. You got 2 minutes for me, man. I've been stuck on this part. I know you're killing it. How did you do this? What was your schedule like balancing wife, kids, family, and running appointments?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever they told me, I would either apply it or at least keep the mental note. Like I sought out information because I knew that that's what was the answer to my question. Instead of me trying to figure it out on my own, let me go ask people that already done it. And so like for some of you on the call, like y'all want to go, make 20, 30, 40 grand a month, or you want to be a Hall of Fame producer or a Hall of Fame agency builder, whatever it may be, go ask the people that are doing it.
Correct.
Matter of fact, you don't have to ask me. Like there's a lot, like some of the best advice I got in this business is from people I didn't know.
Yep.
Like you just took, someone out to lunch the other day for 3 hours to figure out how they did their stuff.
Yep.
He ain't on your team, vice versa. That's why I'm saying go ask. Like there is no glory in struggling in this business by yourself.
None.
So if you don't have the results that you have, go ask.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as simple as that. I tell agents a lot, for the first 90 days in this business, the main thing you need to do is take your brain out, like take your brain out of your head, because it does not work in this business. It does not work here yet. Okay, so you take your brain out, you implement your upline's brain or your manager's brain, your partner, your business partner, put their brain in your head and allow them to tell you what to do for the first 90 days, because your brain does not work here yet. Okay, right. And we do too much thinking, and then we end up with paralysis by analysis. Right, and we don't do anything. So thank you for sharing that. We did get a couple of questions in. Julian wanted to know, if you have a whole list of leads and let's say have a great day of dialing and only get through half, but set those 30 appointments, would you keep dialing and set more appointments or stop and just call it a day? Great question.
Julian, that depends if you want to be great or good.
Yeah.
Hey, just because we say book 30 appointments, it doesn't mean you stop there.
Nope.
You know what I mean? I can point to so many people like my buddy Easton Patton runs 45 appointments a week. Easton Patton almost writes about $1 million a year by himself too. Why? Because when everybody else does 30, he's going to go do 40, 45.
Yep.
So 30 is like the bar. Don't make don't let the bar be your maximum. You know what I mean? That's the bar, as in like that should be your minimum. Here's what I can tell you as well, Julian. In the beginning, when you're not very good, which is okay, you're gonna have to make up in numbers what you lack in skill.
Yep.
So you, like Brandon, might only need 18 appointments to protect 10 families. You might need 32, 35. But eventually, if you continue to, book 32, 35 appointments, you don't write 4 to 5, you write 10, 12, 15, and then you keep it there. See, what happens with a lot of people in this business, Brandon, is they get really good. And then instead of them running the same 30 appointments, they drop down their appointments to hit the same issue, pay, submit, which is completely backwards, because you ran the same appointments, you make more money.
Right. And for me, just to stack on there, it's for me, well, using that word, but I'm always about stacking the deck in your favor. Right. So yeah, if I got 30 and I still got 4 more hours to dial, then I want to go ahead and continue to stack the deck in my favor at this time. So if I get the 35, 40, then I have every opportunity now to hit the goal that I had for the week, because I have the excess of appointments, to go hit it. Right. So stacking the deck in your favor. And that changed everything in my business. You remember that, when I picked up that concept. Right. Julian's other question real quick was also another question: how far apart would you set your appointments?
Depends if you're going face to face or virtual. If you're going virtual, I'd go every hour on the hour. Even face to face, about every hour 15, hour 30. I never accounted for drive time. My thought process when it comes to face is, most of y'all have been in this position where you move into a new place, right? And then the cable company goes, hey, we'll be there between 10 and 2. And you wait 4 hours for the cable. 4 hours. So my opinion, they can wait at least an extra 30 minutes for me.
Correct.
So
yeah, I think the insurance is a little bit more important than the cable.
Just a little bit.
Right, just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Right. All right. So Sandra Kehoe, here she goes. Can you talk about some specific ways you caught up when you were behind on hitting Hall of Fame?
That's a great question. So Sandra, what I knew was I had ratios. And what that means is, like, if you book 30 appointments for 4 weeks, which is 120 appointments, you would write a specific number, whatever that number is to you, right? So for me, if I ran 30 appointments for 4 weeks in a row, I wrote 50.
Mm-hmm.
So what I told myself was, now I got to do 75,000 in premium in the same 4 weeks.
Correct.
I don't like, it would take me 6 weeks to do that, right? So now my question is, how do I compress 6 weeks of appointments into 4 weeks? That number is 180 appointments. Divide that into 4, I get my number 45. Yep. I run 45 appointments. The numbers averaged out. It was just work. It wasn't anything specifically crazy. So, like, instead of running 8 appointments a day, I ran 11 to 12.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, it's not that deep, right? Again, stack the deck. We're still on that same thing, stacking the deck, stack the deck, and it comes out in your favor. Marcia had a question. She said, during your time, have you always bought leads?
Always.
And do you recommend certain lead types?
I mean, Brandon, we used to talk about this a lot.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many lead vendors do you got, Brandon?
Right now, I have 6.
6. So, like, I had about 8 to 9 when I was running in the field. Why? Because I didn't want one company to be able to grab me and hold me. Yep. If I put all my eggs in one basket and that lead company went out of business, they were slow that week, they had a freeze like in Texas a few years ago, where like Facebook changes the algorithm, I'm out of business. So like I worked with, 6, 7, 8, 9 different companies because I wanted to be able to have a little bit of everything. What lead types? I worked them all. Y'all got to remember, when I was in the field, there was no such thing as COVID. So like most people that had mortgage protection, they had jobs. So if you only ran mortgage, you ran in the evenings, which was 5, 6:30, and 8. Well, what did you do from the morning o'clock till 5 p.m.? So we ran final expense, internet leads, senior mortgage, right? That's why we ran everything. Yeah. That's not a cop-out answer. That's for real, because people legit, if you only ran mortgage, you only had a job, right? And so like in the morning, we ran all the other appointments because of that reason. We got really good at selling final expense. We got really good at selling internet leads. So I bought everything. Matter of fact, one of the lead vendors that a lot of people don't like, I loved. And the reason why was because I looked at everything as I wanted to pick the low hanging fruit. So there was this company back then that you put $1,000 worth of leads in, they match you for another 1,000, right? And so like their internet leads were like 11, 12 bucks a pop. And so I think I got like 180 leads, but I only booked 15 appointments. So most people go, oh, that's such a bad ratio. Those leads suck, blah, 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 blah. 15 appointments, sat on 14, closed 13 for 20 grand. Spent $1,000. Yeah, that lead vendor definitely sucks. You know what I mean? Like, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's all perspective, Brandon. I'm not mistaken by that. I worked everything.
Wow. And I think her last was like how much you recommend appointments daily, trying to figure that out. So I would guess you're saying like how many appointments daily, on average?
8 to 12.
Yeah.
Especially on the weekends, even more because everybody's home. So like if there's one day I can run business, you go, hey, there's 7 days in the week and choose one day to run business. It'd be Saturday. And the reason why is because everybody's home and they're in a good mood because they're not at work. So like on Saturdays, my goal was to run 11 to 12 appointments on Saturdays. Right. Many, many times, Brandon can vouch for this. I would probably do 10K just on Saturday.
Yep.
Because everybody was home in a good mood on the weekend.
Yes, sir. Man, last question. King David got one for us. What's up, King? You touched on agency team building earlier. Can you talk more about the times where you had to make decisions on who to spend time with and help develop? Like you said earlier, sometimes you wanted it more for them than they did for themselves.
Yeah, David, you know what? That's a great question. That's the reason why it's David Chen, right?
Right. King David.
Right. So in the beginning, David, when I didn't have a big agency, I worked with everybody because I had no choice. So like if you have a group of like 15, 20 agents, you work with them all because it's 15 to 20 agents. Currently, we have 300 agents.
Yeah.
I can't spend an hour with them because I wouldn't have enough time in a day. So now what happens is my time spent with agents, it's an expectation that is set. Meaning like if you don't dial, work hard, run appointments, sell at a high clip, or you're building or actively trying to build, I have no reason to talk to you because there's 50 other people on our team that can.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And so like David, in the beginning, you said I wanted it more for some people than wanted them for themselves, 100%. But you know what I did was I tried to dig and work through them. Prime example is Brandon Kitchings. The gentleman that recruited Brandon is not at FFL. But I met him and he led me to Brandon. And then Brandon and I clicked. So we locked arms and we went to work. Yep. You know what I mean? So like I although he wasn't the guy, I spent enough time for him to lead us to someone that was the guy.
Yeah.
Right. And so like that's how my time is spent. My time is spent on like, it's not based on numbers, although some people think it is. It's based on effort.
Yeah.
So like I work this business still 12, 14 hours a day. So like if you do this part-time and work 3 hours a week and expect me to answer every call when you call, like that ain't gonna work. Matter of fact, if I call you, the phone goes to voicemail, but then you call me and you expect me to answer on the first ring, that ain't gonna work.
Nope.
So does that make sense? Like you set those boundaries, David, with people. And so you figure out who is your next guy, who's your next talent. Like my whole thing is like, I treat not like NBA guys because they don't have to recruit as much, but I look at us like a college football team. We might be really good right now, but our senior class is going to graduate. We got to find new talent. Who's going to be our next incoming freshman stud? And so we're always on the hunt for new talent with managing our existing team.
Correct. Man, that's great question, David, and great answer, as well, Stephen. Appreciate that. And, David said, thank you as well. Hey, that brings us right here to the end, man. Just want to thank you again, man. I can never, thank you enough, from myself, from Teresa, appreciate everything, that you've done, leading it from the front, paving the way, blazing the trail for, for not only us, but, Bruce and Colton and Will and the rest of the crew as well. And just want to thank you again, and thank each of you for taking your time out of your day and jumping on the call. Hopefully, you've learned something and taken something away from this call that can help you level up in your business at this time. As we always say, SkyPoint's the high point, and we're just going to keep rising, baby. Let's go.
Appreciate you, Brandon. Thank you. Hey, you guys have a great day. We'll see you guys in Phoenix. I expect all of you guys to qualify. We'll see you guys there, guys. Have a great one.
Yes, sir.